But on the heels of that, someone was asking here, while a full API might be some ways away, would there be a way to add endpoints that allow me to access my current account details, positions, trades, P&L, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, this goes back to my point earlier about the desire for us to make an API that is well-rounded and complete with that kind of data. I don't think that that would come earlier in terms of phases for the API. I think the API would likely roll out access to higher level account data, and we would start to work our way down to things like trade P&L and analytics data later in its life cycle. So V1 of the API would likely be things like the account level data, your subscriptions, your strategies, information about your account, and then we slowly start to tack on other versions of that over time.
I had a client call me specifically and says, "Hey, it was another one of these questions. Do you think that TradersPost can have an API over the next year? Because we'll just start building for that right now, assuming the endpoints to be able to get what we need for a project." Because they were just calculating how much it would take for them to do this themselves,
Mm.
and they're like, "If TradersPost is going to do this in 6 months, we can wait 6 months." And it's so interesting how many questions now are popping up where it's all about there's such a need within the market for the TradersPost product, and there's just no second best when it comes to adding these different features on.
That's good to know, though. I mean, I would not mind developing the API in a more public way where we've defined all the endpoints in advance and people could start developing against it before the endpoints are even made available, with the caveat of knowing like it's all subject to change if we decide that the structure doesn't make sense or the schema needs to change. But it could be helpful to get that feedback early on to confirm that we've covered our bases on all the endpoints that might be required by users. So if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about how we're considering an API and you'd like to be on the wait list there and maybe part of the product development lifecycle, feel free to reach out to us on support@traderspost.io.
And that way, people won't have to resort to doing Selenium instances and scraping the back end of their account and TradersPost to simulate an API.
We'd prefer you to use an API. We're going to definitely try
That's
to prohibit scraping at some point.
We certainly will.